Hello and welcome to Our Time. The acronym NAIDOC stands for National Aborigines and Islanders Day Observance Committee. Its origins can be traced to the emergence of Aboriginal groups in the 1920s, which sought to increase awareness in the wider community of the status and treatment of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander Australians. A new First Nations program is about to happen on community TV and it's called Mob Talk. And we're very lucky to have the director and the assistant producer with us to explain what the program is about. So please welcome Rick Hutcheson and Star Sandford. Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Now, the interesting thing about both of you is you've only realised recently, I think, that you have a First Nation background.
That's correct.
How far back for you, Star?
It's only been about 2 to 3 years that my family discovered this heritage.
Right. How did that come about?
Well, it's a little tricky because we're still learning about it ourselves. But basically, it was kind of known, but it wasn't, I guess, advertised that we had Aboriginal heritage. And it was only just recently certified that we are Aboriginal.
There's probably a lot more people have that background as well.
You'd be surprised. There's probably heaps of people that are unaware of their heritage.
Well, particularly for first settlers that came here and moved out and weren't sort of caught up in the problems that the cities had, I guess.
Yeah.
For you, what was your story?
Well, I've known since birth, so a little different to Star. But I've known since I was a little kid. Yeah, always. Yeah. So deep family history back in the Northern Territory. Grandma, everything like that. Growing up with stories and stuff of our heritage. So, yeah.
And how important is it to both of you? Well, before you answer the question, so people who have emigrated here, say from Italy or Greece or the UK or wherever they've come from, a lot of them still talk about their heritage as if it was from yesterday. Do you feel that way, or do you feel that your families have all moved on now and that you're part of the greater Australian culture, or do you feel that you're being drawn back towards the original culture or the First Nation culture?
For me, I believe that my family are embracing, where we came from more and more every day. However, we were raised predominantly in the civilization of Australia now. But we're proud of who we are, and the fact that we're learning more and more about our family and our history and our timeline is just making us more prouder of where we came from. And all these new discoveries we're finding out about our family is just incredible, and it's so empowering to me.
So which people did you come from?
Ngarrindjeri.
Right.
Yeah.
And your background?
Background for my father's side, which is my Aboriginal side, is Waka Waka in Queensland. But I was born and raised on Larrakia land, so I'm from Darwin, Northern Territory.
And the land that you were from and or raised on, how significant is that within what you're now discovering about yourselves and your family?
Don't really have anything on that subject, so I'm going to pass it over to Rick.
Yeah, for me, it's always been pretty important to recognise not only where the history of my family come from, but where I was born as well, and then also where I reside now. I've been in Adelaide for, over 10 years now. So even learning Ghana stuff is important to me as well. It's just wherever kind of I reside at the time, and where I'm recognising is home has always been important.
Well, say 30 years ago, people didn't investigate this. They didn't know that history, but now it seems that more people are interested to find out. Did you find out through a family history, or did you do one of those saliva tests to find out what your background was?
No, but I want to do that because I feel like I've also got Irish in my family too, so I want to see where my family is from around the world.
Actually, you've just brought up a really interesting point, because a lot of people now are identifying as First Nation, but in fact it's only half the story, because there's another story from another place.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that difficult to put those two things together in your head, or?
Yes.
Is it because you are living in Australia now and there is a background from Australia? Somebody came from elsewhere and ended up making you could say. But is it trying to more or less plant yourself more within this country, this land?
Yeah.
Because that's really the First Nation background?
Yeah, I would...
Sorry, I answered the question for you.
pretty much, yeah.
That wasn't really
Took the words out of my mouth.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. Have a go.
Thank you, I appreciate it. No, as I said, this is still new to us, so I'm looking forward to discovering everything about my family and, the greater beyond of where we started to where we are now.
Right.
Yeah.
So within this production, there's 4 people that are primarily involved. Obviously, you two.
Yeah.
Tell us about the other 2 who aren't here.
The other 2 who aren't here.
They better be watching.
Yeah, no, right. We have our host, Marcellus and Alanga, and we have the other key
So tell us a little bit about Marcellus.
Well, did you have any history?
You haven't
with
talked
Marcellus?
enough to him.
No.
Yeah.
We kind of just found him. No, I'm joking.
Well, that brings up another valid point, though. Yeah. How did the 4 of you come together to create the show?
Well,
we came from all different.
We did.
From all different angles. So originally, me and Keith, who was a part of the First Nations intake at Channel 44, we were given the chance to create our own sort of show or pitch for our own sort of idea to get created. And as a part of that, we came up with Mob Talks. And we continued that through the internship and then after the internship. So essentially me and Keith were the key creatives and directors behind it. And we were from the first intake of First Nations internship interns at Channel 44. And the star was from the second round.
Right, so for a better explanation so that everyone exactly understands what you've just said. So community television, both here in South Australia and in Victoria, has interns, which is basically an opportunity for somebody to work within the television industry to learn how to create, to have mentorship, to have the facility to do what it is you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
And you've made 4 programs.
4 episodes of
4
one
episodes.
program, and we have delved
Sorry,
into...
that's a better way to put it. Yeah, 4 episodes of one program.
Yeah, and we've also explored First Nation creatives in Adelaide as a whole. So we did things with the Adelaide Fringe. We're reaching out to First Nations creators of all industries to share their stories because there's so much history and so many stories out there to tell, and we've only just, done the, what's the phrase, tip of the iceberg kind of situation. So we're doing more.
It's a grain on the top of Uluru. Would that be
pretty much?
More Australian thing to say. Yeah. Trying to think of.
Where's the iceberg?
You can use that. It's free.
Thank you.
So you guys obviously you've gone to uni and you've studied.
Oh, film and television. Yeah, actually here at McGill, where this show's being filmed.
This campus?
Yeah.
I went to Flinders University and studied a Bachelor of Creative Arts in Screen.
Yeah.
So,
How different, just a matter of interest, have you talked about what you learned here and what you learnt there is...
No, but the fact that we're working together, shows that the 2 campuses can collaborate.
Yeah.
So.
Well, no, that's good though, because you're getting 2 different feeds of information that you're sharing together.
Absolutely.
So, how did you make the program? Let's talk about that. Did you go? Well, you've just said the Fringe was one, but have you been out into the different nations to talk to people, or have you had people come to you?
We mainly wanted to reach out just to garner people, so we were trying to get local voices onto the program, prominent figures within the community and stuff like that to come and talk. And I guess there is a lot of stuff shared that is for wider Australia as well, and some of the thoughts and feelings are shared by some of wider Australia, but it's mainly Ghana voices. And obviously they've all come from different backgrounds and stuff as well, and family histories from all over Australia and different mob. But it's mainly Ghana related. We can't really speak on sort of wider Australia too much.
Well, but there are so many different languages and so many different family groups, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because it would have all started from family groups.
Yes.
Yep.
Moving over here or moving over there. Very much, I suppose, for somebody in my generation, it's difficult to understand why there's this sudden interest,
Yeah.
you know, in finding your background. But when you come to think about it, we're all doing exactly the same thing because everybody came from somewhere, you know, originally. Some were here originally and everybody else came in. And we're going out for just a moment and we'll see you after this short break. Our special guests are Rick Hutcheson, who's the director and creator of Mob Talks, with an S, and Star Sandford, who's the assistant producer. We've just cleared up that, by the way. Mob Talk is a YouTube...
It's a YouTube show about the mob. About the mafia.
The mafia.
So there's an S at the end of
So
ours.
there's definitely an S at the end.
We're not
It has
talking
to be the Mob Talks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because the mob is talking.
Yes.
That's correct, yeah.
So the content of the programs, the programs won't go to air until later this year.
Yeah.
So it's worthwhile, you know, looking out for that. But also, is there a chance of a second series after that? Once it goes to air, do you think people are going to come with their stories?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
You
we've
know,
had a lot of interest already about, you know, making more, and there's a lot more stories to tell.
Yeah.
Even while filming it, there was, you know, in those episodes, it was kind of hard to go, well, how do we tell all of this in, you know, a 26-minute episode? There's so much to talk about. So
we could do our specials easily. If we wanted to branch into that, we could.
So
You could go for 12 years like us.
Well, yeah, hopefully,
Yeah.
Never know.
Rub off some of the...
Exactly. Touch me now. So how did you shoot the episodes? Were they studio-based? Did you go out and find the people? How did it all happen?
Well, we shot at the ABC Studios in Collinswood. They've got this beautiful set that we basically, well, they had walls built similar to this, but we set the scene with couches. We wanted to make it a comfortable environment, a conversation, and that's exactly what we want people to have, is conversations.
Right.
You know, we do delve into serious topics and everything, but it's to basically get people talking about history of the First Nations people and maybe some topics that are, you know, political or they need to be addressed, you know, and this is a chance for people to tell their story but also to create conversations for the audience out there.
Right. And how did you research this? Did it just come from the people themselves, or?
It came from like a sort of a writer's circle with the first group of First Nations interns at Channel 44, just about some of the topics that we were really passionate about, that we had either lived experience or knew people with lived experience with those, you know, within those sort of conversations, and just really just sort of prominent stories and conversations that have existed within the First Nations community for years and years now. So there's a lot of subject matter, and it was quite easy to pick up, you know, those issues and what we were going to shoot on.
Is it issue based, the problems or things that aren't working well for people, or is it happy stories as well? Is it a mixture of...
Yeah, absolutely.
It's relevant topics, it's personal stories, it's, you know, positive and not a lot of negative, but there are some negative connotations, I guess, with some of the stories that we're sharing. So, but
I'm sure for every race of humans that have ever stepped foot on the planet, there are positive and negative stories.
Absolutely.
And the truth is, every landmass has been taken over at some point by somebody. I mean, what's going on in the world at the moment with Russia and the Ukraine, you sort of think, what's that story going to be in years to come?
Absolutely.
You know, how are people going to relate to that in the future? And really what you're looking at, I suppose, are things that have happened as long as 250 years ago and that have really continued up until recently. I mean, I can't believe that First Nation people weren't given the vote until, I think it's the 60s. It just... You know, those sorts of things are a bit hard for all of us in today's generation to actually understand. What do you hope people will take away from the program?
I think mainly education. It was, each episode is sort of written or designed in a way, not just to share what what those conversations are, what those issues are, and presenting those problems. But also at the end of each episode, we sort of bring it back to the conversation of what can be done and how can we move forward, what things can we learn, and what resources are out there for non-Indigenous and Indigenous Australians, non-First Nations and First Nations Australians. So it's that sort of, it's leaving with that sense of hope and that sort of bit of education at the end for each episode. So I think that's really what we want to get from it.
At the end of the day, we all breathe the same air and we all drink the same water eventually, sort of thing. So we've all got to learn to live together and make life comfortable.
Yeah.
So let's now talk about you and your prospects for the future. So both of you doing the internship with a community station.
Yeah.
Where do you hope that's going to lead you? What are you looking for?
Well,
here's a job pitch opportunity.
Well, so with the First Nations internship program through Channel 44, it has support from SAFC. So if there's anyone out...
It's the South Australian Film
South Australian Film Corporation. So if there are any film emerging First Nations or creative people that are interested in breaking into the industry, reaching out to Channel 44 or SAFC and getting in touch with those programs will give you a chance to not only share your story, but to create your own stories like Rick and Keith did for Mob Talks, They've created this thing while doing their internship, and look where it's got us to now.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. And that's, like I said, only the beginning. We're hoping to do more. So,
Well, there's been a real upsurge in people coming into the industry, thanks to universities like this one, and Flinders as well, making sure that you're getting the information to really start things off. From this studio, a lot of the people working here, including Yogi, who's on that camera, is a filmmaker and working his socks off, making product to really show the world, hey, I'm here and look at what I can do. Is that how you feel, Rick?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm hoping this is sort of that, new big stepping stone, in my career. I'm looking at, trying to direct more and either, feature films one day, more doco stuff, just get, my fingers in all the pies kind of thing. So, yeah.
Well, see that?
Yeah,
that's interesting because until you've sort of touched them all, you don't know how any of them feel.
Right.
Really.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's experience as well, just to
Sure.
This.
Yeah.
But do you have sort of one long-term dream goal?
Gosh.
This is like, what do you want to do when you grow up?
Now,
Yeah,
don't you think?
Sorry, what?
It's too deep now.
Well, it's that sort of program.
Yeah, long-term goal. I would love to still be like a key creative figure on something like Mob Talks and have a continuing show where, I can bring in other First Nations interns to work on it and have that be their starting of their career and just have it, long running and, whether it's Mob Talks or whether it's something else like...
Passing the baton.
Yeah, right? Yeah, something like that.
No, I get that. Actually, it's really important because hopefully you'll encourage others to find their way and find their direction. I think for a lot of Australians at the moment, it's hard to understand because we haven't been through what the community has been through over the years. So sometimes, I guess people often think, and certainly I have too, why suddenly now we're seeing a lot of white-faced people talking about their black ancestors, for want of a simple way to explain it. Why do you feel this has become so important to the community? Is it for the non-Indigenous community to understand the story better? Is it for the Indigenous community to explain their story better? Do you think?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think people are becoming more aware of it, and they want to, they want to know more, and they want to try and educate themselves about it. So I think it's a nice tie between the two. Going back and looking at our history.
The key, though, is education, isn't it?
The key is education.
Really, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
The more people are educated to both sides of the story.
I mean, one of the big, when we're coming up with the concept of it is the fact that you know, we're all sitting in the writers' room and we're talking about like our friend circles and stuff, and you know, we become sort of like the token go-to within our friend circles for people who are like, oh, you know, like Rick's, you know, part, you know, Aboriginal, we should talk to him about this sort of subject. And, you know, it's like, not everyone has that, you know, that token to go to talk about that kind of thing.
that's
so
true.
we wanted to create that piece.
But
of
also they haven't
education.
necessarily grown up amongst.
Yeah, but
you
there's
know,
a lot of interested
where
parties.
people really are living.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like allies who want to get involved with, you know, First Nations, you know, trying to solve and educate, and they don't know how to approach it, or they don't know. You know,
that's
what's,
very true.
Yeah, they don't know who to
approach
talk
this.
to, or they don't know like where they can stand and stuff. So something
Or,
like this
or
helps
which
with that.
terminology to use.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
before we started to talk, I said, do we say First Nation?
Right, yeah.
Do we say Aboriginal? What do we say?
Yeah, I know, and I've you know, I just said Indigenous as well. It sometimes it depends where you come from.
Yeah.
In like what regions and stuff, and there's sensitivities about it.
Yeah.
And I know here for Ghana land, we tend not to try and use the word Indigenous. So going forward with the rest of the program, I'll try to.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
no, but it's good because the more we talk about these things, the more we understand. And we'll be back to talk a little bit more in just a tick. Our guests in this episode have been Rick Hutcheson and Star Sandford, who have both been involved in making the program called
Mock Talks.
with an S.
Yes.
With an S.
Okay, so the program hasn't gone to air as yet. The reason we're talking about it at the moment is because this is NAIDOC week, and so there are a whole lot of things happening all around the country to make people aware of the history of the peoples who live on this piece of land called Australia and the islands at the top. We talked about the program. It goes to air in November.
Yes.
There's 4 episodes.
4 episodes to start with.
Covering, just quickly throw out a few of the subjects that it's covering.
Yeah, we cover LGBTQI plus issues within First Nations community, health, bringing culture into every day, and the last one was
Identity.
Identity, which is
so,
a little bit what we covered today.
pretty much, yeah. How people have discovered their First Nations history.
Right. The good thing is you're the assistant producer.
Yes.
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 But you were the creator.
Yeah.
So did you just start with a bang? I got an idea, guys. Here, come and talk to me in this room. How did it start?
Never that easy.
No, it's never that easy. No. Small writers' room, just trying to build up what ideas and stuff that we wanted to put across. We came up with
the idea, though, to make a program about First Nation people initially, or was it what are we going to do? We're an intern, and here's an opportunity.
That's exactly
Is
how
that what
it
it
went.
was?
Yeah, it was like, do we do a short film, or what do we want to do, or do we cover some local sports stuff and do a doco? And I think we did settle on we wanted to be a real a non-fiction piece. And then it came to a talk show, and talk show was like, wow, okay, this is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's true. I think there's nothing that connects with people about other than honest conversation.
That's right.
Because it's what we all need to do to communicate. And whilst we can keep looking at a little screen, we can see this on a little screen too. But the fact is, human communication is what it's all about. And interestingly enough, for First Nation people, that was really the way all the stories were carried through originally anyway.
Yep, yarning circles and men's and women's groups. So that's what we wanted to do.
So look, good luck with the program, and may you make many more.
Thank you.
And for your careers within the industry, good luck, good luck, good luck.
You.
And I
Thank
hope
you so
you
much.
have.
Yep.
Oh yes, here too. Here. I hope you have great success in the future.
Thank you.
And I hope that's been interesting for you, because this is something to look forward to as the year goes on, and also to celebrate this week meeting 2 lovely young people who are going to, I'm sure, have a great effect on our future. So until next time on Our Time, thanks Rick. Thank you very much, Star.
Thank you.
Thanks for being with us. Thank you for being with us, and we'll see you soon. Keep yourself nice till then.